Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.
Welcome, everybody, to tonight's broadcast of the Ray Esports Racing League, brought to you by Grassroots Motorsports Magazine, Spec Racer Sports, Common Gear, and Paddock Motorsports here on Apex Racing TV. For the last 9 weeks, almost 300 club racers across 4 different classes, Spec Racer Ford, Spec Miata, and 2 touring car classes have put it all on the line to be named a Ray Esports Racing League regular season champion. Who's going to be the next Morgan Burkhardt, the man who swept each of the classes he raced in Season 8, or Beans Forster, the man who did the same in Season 7? Well, now we've got the answers, but, you're going to have to wait just a little bit, and that's because it's the Runoffs, a winner-take-all event with 3 25-minute races, one for each of our 4 classes. And for this special event, we head 90 miles due north of Los Angeles to beautiful Rosamond, California, and the oldest permanent road course in North America. Not North America, but in the United States. It's a high-speed treasure recently introduced to the iRacing platform that's hosted some of the earliest NASCAR road races, has played host to Cal Club's club races, and has been the sentimental home since its inception. And it's also been Hollywood's go-to for countless car commercials and movies, most recently standing in for Le Mans in Ford versus Ferrari. I'm Greg Ginsburg, and joining me in the announce booth is Charles Beauchelle with Lee Thompson in the virtual production trailer, giving you all the best views of tonight's special event live from a virtual Willow Springs International Raceway's Big Willow Circuit. Good evening, Charles. How you doing tonight?
Oh, Greg, I'm great. It's great to be here. Welcome in, everybody.
Yeah, it's great to have you back here after a couple of weeks, and a great event to come in for is we're going to have 3 races here, and you can see right now on track we have our 2 touring car our 2 touring car classes. I'm all mixed up tonight. And they are going to be sharing the track as they've done all season long. And wow, look at that drift, that 4-wheel drift from Megan Overstreet going through the final corners here. Who said front-wheel drive Jettas don't like to oversteer? Wow. But again, we're going to have 3 different races. First up, we're going to be our touring car races with both the Volkswagen Jettas and the Toyota GR86 Cup cars. From there, we're going to transition into Spec Racer Ford, and then we're going to go to Spec Miata. And normally during our 9-week regular season, Charles, we race for 20 minutes. Tonight it is a special night. We're going to extend that a little bit for our racers. We're going to have 25-minute runs to the checkered flag. And we are currently in the midst of qualifying, a 15-minute qualifying session for these touring cars.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to this. The Weekend Warriors version of the Rennsport series ran this in the Formula Fords early in the season, and it was really interesting racing. This is a very wide open track. Carry a lot of speed all over the place, and so it's going to be interesting tonight to see the multi-class aspect of this. It's big track, nice and wide. A couple little trouble spots we'll need to keep an eye on, but overall it's going to be fun to watch these two different classes mix it up.
Yeah, definitely. So it's 2.5 miles, 9 turns over that 2.5 miles, and that means there's a lot of flat out, a lot of straight running, and it is one of the fastest tracks here for an average lap time that you're going to find in North America. But let's do this, Charles. Why don't we turn things over to Morgan Burkhardt, as we've done all season long. Morgan is going to give us tonight's track guide of Big Willow, Willow Springs International Raceway.
Hello, my name is Morgan Burkhardt for the Parallel Racing Group, and welcome to the 2.5 mile, 9 corner, fabulous Willow Springs Raceway, one of the fastest tracks in terms of average speed in the United States. Coming down the fairly long front straight into a slight uphill bend into turn 1, which is heavily cambered. The apex speed around 90 miles an hour. Super late entry, just trying to keep the car all the way balanced. Late apexing, watching out for this dirt to come up on the exit, and then the fast turn 2. Coming in the top of 4th gear, just kind of keeping it tight, making sure you can just carry the car all the way around, but you got to be careful. This dirt comes right back at you on the exit. Again, another banked corner into turn number 3, carrying a ton of speed, just trying to use the uphill to scrub it off. Again, coming up the hill again into the Budweiser bend. Double apex corner, got to be really careful. Again, dirt comes up real fast on the exit, and then back down the hill, using these camber to our advantage everywhere we can. Really just trying to get the car to flow through all these corners, up and over the crest of the hill, and then into one of the most beautiful corners in all of the United States. It's so tempting to just get on the throttle early. It really tempts drivers' patience. It's really fast, flat out corner, bending forever into the right-hander. Get it straight for just a half a second onto the brakes. Back to the throttle as early as possible, using the compression on the apex of the final corner to really grab the car and hook it. Never below 100 miles an hour through that final corner, and then rocket ship back onto the front straight to start it all over again. And that is a completed lap of Willow Springs Raceway.
All right, thanks so much to Morgan Burkhardt for tonight's track guide. And you know, Charles, I'll tell you, you could hear it in Morgan's voice as this lap went on. He was, I'd say, more excited than he has been really for any other track guide that he's done for us this season. And he pinged me at about 2 o'clock in the morning last night when he sent his raw video of the track guide over to me, and he says, "This is the funnest track I've ever," and of course, you know, he's 17, so he's not using the best English, but he says, "This is the funnest track I've ever raced on." and you could hear it in his voice. And of course, that was after he had just had a rain-soaked weekend at New Jersey Motorsports Park at a Spec Racer Ford. So I think he'd like anything that was dry and desert-like.
Yeah, for sure.
Willow Springs. Oh my gosh. All right, so let's take a look, as we're just about 6 minutes into qualifying right now. Florence Arabian is currently your fastest driver in the Touring 3 class. Well, not any longer, because crossing the stripe, and now he's going to go for a long ride up the hill, as he was side by side with Beans Forrester. Giancarlo Schooler, who's still going for a ride. He's up against the chain link fence there over by the Horse Thief Mile. Giancarlo Schooler goes to the top of the leaderboard in the Touring 3 class in the Toyota GR86s with a lap time of 128.99, almost a half second clear of Florence Arabian. Morgan Burkhardt, who has been running the Jettas all season, he's going to take a hand at the Toyotas. He is currently your third fastest driver. He's only about it looks like he's only about 0.03 of a second off of Arabian, and well, scratch that. completing his 5th flying lap. Morgan Burkhardt now moves to the front row, where he has a time of 129.19, so 2/10 off of Giancarlo Sculler Arabian, drop him now down to 3rd. Beans Forster is 4th. And if we take a look over at the Jettas, the Touring 4 class, Henry Morse is currently your provisional pole starter. He's got a qualifying time of 1:30.50, just about 45 hundredths of a second up on Megan Overstreet in the purple 044. We saw Megan with that wild 4-wheel drift early on. Michael Snow in the 077 machine, currently 3rd fastest, and as he crosses the stripe to complete his 5th flying lap, he is now sitting just about 45 hundredths of a second off of Overstreet. Seth Spolman here in the number 42 machine, the yellow machine, he is looking to complete lap number 3, and as he comes across the line, let's see if he can improve on his 4th fastest position here. And Seth, he turns his fastest lap of the qualifying session, but look at that. He is all of about, looks like he was just about 100th of a second off of Michael Snow's times there. You can see the 0.895 and 0.911 off the pole. Wow. Wanchi Lin, 5th fastest in the Jettas. They are all very closely matched here tonight, Charles.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, usually is, as we talk about this on the Weekend Warrior side of it, is these drivers are always pretty close as far as qualifying times go. It usually takes a mistake to during the race to kind of separate that group, so you can imagine it's probably going to be nose to tail for quite a bit of this race.
No, definitely. All right, so let's take a look here at how things played out in our 2 touring classes at the completion of season number 9, the regular season 9 of the Ray Esports Racing League, where it's a 9-week season. Each of our classes raced 6 times, and taking the win in Touring 3 in the Toyotas was Beans Forster with a total of 119 points, 6 points clear of Miles Crabb, and that came down to the wire last week at WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca, just north of here. Both Forster and Crabb were tied coming into their final race of the season. Forster edges out Crabb by 6 points. Caleb Pocock will come home in 3rd, and then we've got Wayne Buttermore. Great showing by Wayne to finish the season in 4th, with Andrew Wozencroft in 5th position. Now, if we take a look at the Jettas, it was Megan Overstreet, your champion. She's currently running 2nd in qualifying right now, but Megan Overstreet with a 5-point advantage over Michael Snow to round out the regular season. Morgan Burkhardt, who took one event off, actually to fill in for me when I was out sick, and filled in the announce booth. And I hate to say it, but I think I might have cost Morgan a championship. Well, I think he's going to be content. I told you he raced at New Jersey Motorsports Park this weekend. He ended up with a divisional championship in Spec Racer 4 to the Northeast Division of the Sports Car Club of America. Wrapped it up this weekend, so I'm sure he'll be fine. There is we then had Jim Brewster and Jake Schilling tied for 4th, both with 63 points. Only that Joaquin Effinger only a single point back from there in 6th position, with Derek Marcos and Trenton Kramer. Look how close the point standings were. They're all the way down the line in those Jettas. Really great season for our Touring 4 drivers this season.
Yeah, absolutely. Congratulations to Megan. I've called several of her races, and she's always consistently toward the sharp end of the stick, as they say.
Yeah, and we've talked about this before. She has really focused on Spec Racer Fords, on some of the winged cars, Formula Vs, Formula Fs, and came over to the Ray Esports Racing League last season and started to put in the work. Both here in the Jettas, also in the Spec Miatas as well, and I think it's really paid off. She had a really good season. She had a couple outings where, and she's had, I'll admit it, she's had some bad luck with people spinning right in front of her. And there was a Spec Miata race where at Mid Ohio, where she found herself leading the race on lap number 1 and had cold tires, and much like half the field ended up off in the grass on the first lap. But she has really taken to this Volkswagen Jetta very, very well, and is currently qualified second, about 44 hundredths of a second off of Henry Morse right now, as we've got just about 2 minutes remaining here in qualifying, and it doesn't look like Morgan Burkhardt has been able to take a dent out of Giancarlo Schooler's times on the Toyota side either.
No, looks like everything's still playing out as it was just a few minutes ago. See Beans Forster in the pit. I'm not sure if that means he's done for the session, or maybe getting some fresh tires and maybe go out and try it again.
Yeah, we'll see if, and he's been in the pits now he's been in his pit stall for about 38 seconds. We'll see if he decides to come out again, as we now only have about a minute and a half remaining on the clock, which is what a lap would be here for these cars. Again, the Jettas and the Toyotas fairly closely matched. I think the Jettas here, although they don't have the outright pace of the Toyotas, the fact that this track has some very long sweepers and some straightaways, I think really does them good. But we've already seen how coming out of the final corner, coming out of turn 9, or going through the corner known as Rabbit's Ear, which I think we're looking at right here. The rear end of these Jettas can just really, right here, you can see where the rear end just steps out, and probably for the first time ever, they get rotation.
Indeed. Yeah, that was coming out of turn 9. That's the crucial corner on this track. It basically sets you up for the entire lap. You just want to hit the apex and carry as much speed as you can through there to get that run down the front straight, to get that toe behind any cars that are in front of you, and that's going to set you up for a good lap.
All right, so let's go here, and we'll follow Morgan Burkhardt, and looked like he was already pretty close to getting a 1X on this lap and having this lap invalidated as he comes down the hill and through some of these final corners, going down into the sweeper and then turn 9, and we'll see how he does here, as he's going to come back out onto the front straight, and he's going to drop wheels. Looks like that lap's going to get invalidated. Yeah, Charles is not going to be able to improve.
Yeah, very close. But you saw turn 9, another little obstacle you have to worry about. So there's a pretty massive little dip on the inside, right at the apex. So you have to take that into account as you see him coming out of turn 1, and
there we go,
and going flying. There we go.
Oh.
I think he's saying I'm done for today. So
if he wasn't done before, he's done now.
Yeah. So what I've noticed about this track is, obviously, the bad news is the white lines are your track limits. There's no real runoffs here. But the good news is, if you do go wide, it's not really that much to hit.
No, not at all. It's just nothing but sand and dirt, and maybe a chain link fence about 100 feet off the track or so.
Right. Plenty of time to recover if you're trying to keep in it. There's a good way there's a good opportunity to get back on the track, lose a few seconds of time, but you're not clattering a wall or anything like that.
Exactly, and you don't have to worry about cranking the wheel over and then finding grip and having it shoot the other way. You can kind of just straighten up the wheel, and the track will come back to you at some point. It's not that big a deal. All right, so it looks like qualifying is now done. Here we've got just our last drivers finishing up, and you can see them coming to a stop, and we should have our drivers start to grid up here in just a moment. We had 13 drivers head out for qualifying. We had 6 Toyotas. We had 7 drivers in the Volkswagens in this race. It's going to be brought to you by both the Common Gear and also Grass Paddock Motorsports, and hopefully the iRacing gods will allow us to grid up here. Wanted to thank some of the folks that are joining us here in the chat. We've got the Wolfman. Hey, Wolfman, how you doing tonight? And also Trenton Kramer said he's rushing home, rushing home the race, and got hit with the iRacing updates after the patch earlier this week. But we should see Trenton out on track for some of our other races. Let's take a look at the starting order here, and if you want, Charles, I'll take the Touring 3 cars if you want to take the Touring 4. Starting on the pole in the Toyotas is going to be Giancarlo Sculler with Morgan Burkhardt starting right next to him. The 2 parallel racing group drivers, Florence Arabian, is going to start in 3rd on the inside of row number 2, along with Beans Forster. Miles Crabb and Wayne Buttermore will round out the 6-car Toyota field.
All right, and T4, which is the Jettas, we've got Henry Morse and Megan Overstreet on the front row. Michael Snow in 3rd, Seth Spielman in 4th, Yangshi Lin in P5, Thomas Pendergrass in P6, and rounding out the field, Gary Winters running 7th.
All right, and usually what we have seen, Charles, during the regular season is that the Jettas starting behind they'll usually drop back a little bit so that they don't run the risk of running right back into the back of the Toyotas very early on, as we've got the pace lap now underway here at 2.5 mile 9 turn Willow Springs International Raceway, Big Willow as it's known. And let's talk about our 2 sponsors for tonight's first race of the evening, and we're going to start off with the Common Gear. The Common Gear is your single source for securely digitizing and storing automotive maintenance records. From photos of maintenance and restoration work to scans of receipts, users can easily catalog every piece of a car's story. Digitize or scan and back up securely in one location, documenting your diagnostic and repair processes, which is as important as the work itself. And with the Common Gear, you can keep track of the steps you take, the parts and experts you use, all aspects of your car's history. Don't risk losing your value in your investment due to lost or incomplete service and repair records. For more information, visit Common Gear at www.thecommongear.com or on Instagram at _Common Gear. And then there is Grass Paddock Motorsports, which provides Mini Cooper race rentals, trackside support, and coaching at tracks all over the eastern half of the United States. GPM provides podium-capable rentals for B-Spec, which is the fastest growing class of racing in the SCCA for 3 years running, and it's currently the 4th largest class overall. Grass Paddock has a unique approach where their race cars are located near the track you want to race instead of being in a centralized location, and that way you can avoid large towing fees. Come join us at Grass Paddock Motorsports, where Grass Paddock is not about our location, but it's about our attitude. For more information, visit www.grasspaddock.com, and we'll talk a little bit more, Charles, about Grass Paddock Motorsports Sim to Track program that gives away we got a little bit of time, gives away 2 rides in their B-Spec Mini Coopers, 1 to a licensed competition racer and 1 to a wannabe racer, somebody who will take that ride and go to a competition licensing school to get their competition license. And again, 2 of these rides are being given away with full support from Grass Paddock Motorsports, and we are going to be announcing the winners of these awards at the end of the year. And it's based not just winning, but 3 criteria really: clean racing, performance improvement, and also we want to see people who are participating regularly in the Ray Esports Racing League. And so again, we'll be awarding those at the end of the calendar year. So as we are making our way down through the final corners here and heading out towards the front straight, you can see the Toyotas. They've dropped back to lose the pace car slightly, Charles, and the Jettas have pulled back as well as they come onto the front straight. The pace car is on the pit lane, and Giancarlo Sculler is driver's left on the front row. He's got Beans Forster directly behind him, beside him, with Florence Arabian and Wayne Buttermore as they come down, and they are still waiting for the start signal. And there it is. We are racing here at Big Willow as they make the run down towards turn number 1, the Castro corner. And still our leaders side by side through this big sweeping turn. And Charles, there's so much camber in some of these corners. It really helps you carry speed. The Jettas get their start as well, and jumping out to an early start, an early lead there is Henry Morse over Megan Overstreet with Michael Snow slotting in the third.
Yeah, a lot of these corners have really good camber in it. We're coming up to the next section, turns 3 and 4, where it really tightens up. So there's going to be some good side-by-side battles here. Have to be careful of the curbs. These curbs are old school curbs, and there's a huge drop off on the backside. So if you get over that curb, it's not so much a getting over it, it's getting back is the problem you're going to have.
And you can actually see right there on the inside portion of that curbing, the huge lip there. And you know, for these, especially for the Toyotas that really have a lot of issues with weight transfer, and big curbs upset them quite a bit as it is. We'll have to see. My guess is before the end of this race and this 25-minute race, we're going to see one of these Toyotas go flying through the air due to a curb strike.
Yeah, I think you maybe you're right. We saw Morgan Burkhart actually started from the pits, so he's now working his way through the Jetta field. And maybe he just wanted a little practice on passing. So you know, he's just taking his time and working his way through pretty methodically. He'll get clear of them. He'll see if he can start chasing down the rest of the Toyota class.
All right, here we go as our leaders now starting on lap number 2 here. And Giancarlo Schooler, he's got the measure of Beans Forster early on in the Toyotas. And Schooler and Forster starting, they're starting to open up a bit of a gap to Forens Arabian here with our 4th place car, Miles Crabb. Not all that far behind. Beans Forster taking a look down to the outside of Giancarlo Schooler as they come through turn 3 and rise up to the highest part of the course right by the Budweiser Terrace. There it is. And then they start coming all the way back down. And that's where that track really tightens up.
Absolutely, yeah. And you just get this one little ridge right here, and then you're down, basically downhill the rest of the lap till you get down to the flats, the sweeper in turn 9. It looks like that Schooler's kind of stretched a little bit of the gap back to Forster.
And so I'm wondering, it looks like this is very odd as we're looking at Morgan Burkhart. I'm still showing Morgan as being down almost a full lap from all of our other racers, as if there he is. We're seeing him. Whoa, and there you go.
Yeah,
Now
there's
you know what
that
happens
curve
when you hit the backside of that curbing. So I'm showing, and I'm starting to wonder whether or not he didn't actually head out on track until some of these racers were completing. Well, we know this isn't true. They weren't just completing lap 1, but I'm actually showing. There we go.
Yeah,
now we got to fix some timing and scoring. We were showing him down still in 13th position while he was already past some of the Jettas. But you'll notice even starting at the back of the field and from the pit lane, he's starting to make up some ground on Wayne Buttermore. As this 4-way battle for the lead in the Toyotas, they come up the hill once again to turn number 4 as they start to make the run down. And Beans Forster, he's looking as in many places to try and get around that 111 car. But the one thing here, Charles, is there aren't a lot of real heavy braking zones.
No, there's really not. It basically, you have to get a run. You have to hope maybe that the car in front misses the corner just a little bit, misses the apex, allow you to get a good run out, or you just get this run down the front straight. Saw a lot of passing here in the Formula Fords. Seems like most of the passing occurred going into turn 1.
Wow, and look at the speed difference that both Forster and Schooler carried through the final corners there. And it wasn't until Forster actually went into the dirt on the exit of the final corner that we see then Forens Arabian make up ground. And look at that move by Arabian coming down the front straight as he moves around both Schooler and for a brief moment around Beans Forster.
Yeah, you get such a good run down. It's those long front straight. you can get such a good run if you're just kind of drafting behind the car, and then that's where you'll make your move. But he just think, coming back from the third position, probably a little too far back as you see him. Oh, just now he's clattered the curb too, and got Schooler there all out of sorts, expecting some carnage maybe. So yeah,
it's amazing when you see how it impacts the drivers behind when they know if one of these Toyotas gets two wheels in the air, how that it's usually mayhem. And Schooler,
exactly right.
Schooler was preparing for the big one that didn't happen.
Yeah. So it's I think the big one. I don't think these obviously are really good drivers. So I'm sure they're aware that, hey, I probably can't take too many of those curb strikes. My luck's going to run out.
Exactly. All right, here, watching a great battle. This is the battle right now for fourth in the Jettas. We've got Seth Spolman. He is in that yellow number 42 machine. Wan Chi Lin in the gray 30. And they are currently sitting behind Wayne Buttermore, who is currently running sixth in the Toyotas. Now, I think we mentioned a little while ago how Morgan Burkhardt was closing up on Buttermore. Well, Burkhardt has gotten by. Not only has he gotten by, but he has passed a number of our Jetta drivers. He's now up to sixth overall in this 13-car field. There's Burkhardt. And next, and a pretty good distance ahead is our leader in the Jettas, Henry Morse. So we can see Morse has really opened up a huge advantage now, almost 7 seconds over Megan Overstreet, or probably 4 seconds over Overstreet in the Jettas. As Overstreet's got her hands not only tied but full of Michael Snow.
Yeah, he's really trying to put some pressure on her. That gap, 4 seconds already. Seems like maybe, somebody made a mistake and kind of helped that gap out a little bit as we see.
Like right there.
Snow off in the dirt in the desert. Which hey, that's fine. Bring it back on track and we'll keep going. So no, like I said earlier, no real walls to be worried about.
Yeah, but whoa,
there it is.
Yep, there you go. As Arabian catches the inside of that curb, Charles, just like you warned about, and he gets into Beans Forster as they come onto the front straight. And Forns Arabian, he's going to, whether he wanted to or not, going to end up taking a run down the pit lane. Beans Forster now rejoins, but Forster now finds himself in, I believe, seventh. Make that ninth overall as he's just now trying to get up to speed.
Yeah, he just obviously Arabian pushed him out, and it was kind of unfortunate. There's a replay coming up here. See that car as it comes on that inside curb, and like I said, it's not going across the curb the first time. It's trying to come back onto the track, as you can see it, and then Arabian, just a passenger, ends up sliding into pit entry, so has to go ahead and just take down the pit road.
Yeah, so not much of anything that Forster could have done there, but there you see it. That's what Giancarlo Schooler was worried about. Maybe a half a lap earlier. Good anticipation by the 111 car here, but that's going to move Miles Crabb now into the lead in our Toyotas with Schooler second. Let's jump back over here as we're watching this fight. We've got Wan Chi Lin, who has gotten around Seth Spolman, and he has Beans Forster sitting directly between the two Jettas, and looks like Spolman trying to use Beans Forster to pull himself back up to Wan Chi Lin.
Yeah, I was kind of shocked as I was watching the qualifying how close these two makes are to each other as far as lap time. So yeah, if you can get a tow off of the 86, if you're driving a Jetta, absolutely take that.
Yeah, all get it long. And use it. All right, and there's Michael Snow. Now, as we saw him with that off coming out of turn 5 on the previous lap. He has lost a lot of ground now to Megan Overstreet. Almost 3 seconds he's lost to Megan Overstreet, whereas he had been the previous lap. We saw him right on the back bumper of the 044.
Yeah, my guess is it's probably these cars, the 86s, that are trying to work their way back through the field again. you get to this point where you're side by side, and that just slows both cars down because you're trying to be safe. So you're trying to take a more narrow line going through there, and it's just generally going to make you a little bit slower. So that's going to help those gaps increase a bit.
All right, so here we go. Miles Crabb and Giancarlo Schooler side by side as they come down into the final corners of lap number 7. And there we go. Schooler to the inside, Crabb to the outside. Remember, Crabb had just given up the championship to Beans Forster last week at WeatherTech Raceway, so he's looking for a little redemption here.
Yeah, that was a nice outside in line by Schooler. See a little just as close as you can get without actually taking the guy out. So we'll head up the hill again, up to the balcony, and reset for that downhill plunge once again.
This track has so much character. You can see those little bumps at just the most inopportune. Schooler drops a wheel on the outside of turn number 4, and probably at the outside of turn number 2, as he heads up through 3 and into 4 by the balcony there. But it's got these little bumps at perhaps the most inopportune times. You can't very easily see it from the distance here, but you can certainly see how it affects some of these cars and how it jostles them around.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's that one in turn 9 in particular. But yeah, there's with a track that's 60 years old, 70 years old, that's not as widely used as it used to be. Right. You can imagine that that character's been in there for quite a while, and the people who are used to driving here for special events or things like that are just used to it, and so it's kind of a new experience for our drivers.
All right, coming down the hill, going into turn 8, going into the sweeper. Wan Chi Lin jumps to the inside on the 077 of Michael Snow, and Snow is going to concede the position as they come into turn 9, out onto the front straight through all that dust and dirt, and that just appears to be the regular line through turn 9 there, Charles. As wow, look at that. Miles Crabb, not Miles Crabb, but Beans Forster pulls his car into the pits. Maybe he doesn't like the way it's handling. Now let's take a look and see what happened.
So looking really wide there on the entry. No, that bump just caught him out, and it caught him out, and he couldn't recover it in time, so just drove down pit lane.
Drove down the pit lane, exactly, and he's still in there, and he's in his box. I'm wondering if if either A, he decided to get a fast repair, and we give all of our drivers what's known as a fast repair here in the league to allow them to repair whatever problems they have with the car. And Forster now appears to have checked out of the session, I think. We will we'll see here. Oh no, I'm showing him out on track.
Yep. So I agree. I think you're absolutely right. I think he took his fast repair.
Yep.
And so my guess is he had some aero damage, wasn't making up as much time as he thought he could from that contact with Arabian earlier. So yeah, come into the pits, get the quick repair, make the car bright, shiny, and new, and get back out on track and run some quick laps.
Yeah, as we're down just a little bit over halfway through this 25-minute race, actually just about hitting the 14-minute mark. So only 11 minutes remaining, but still some time for Forster to make up some ground, as Wan Chi Lin and Michael Snow still battling it out. This is for the last step on the podium in Touring 4 in the Jettas, and look at this, Seth Spolman, he's now back in the game as well, only about 4 car lengths back from there, and as Snow and Wan Chi Lin continue to fight, coming up the hill, heading up towards the porch there.
Yep. Yeah, Lynn's having a good run tonight. Started a little bit further back. He's made up some ground, and he's leading that pack of 3 right there. There's still a pretty significant gap up to Overstreet, about 6 seconds from all the I think all the other cars that might have interfered with their racing.
Exactly, as they start to come back down the hill, and you can see the difference here, Charles, in how the Jettas dispose of the curbing and some of those little bumps. I mean, these Jettas, they're underdamped to begin with, but they don't get flung up in the air here by the curbs like the Toyotas do, which is somewhat odd, because when you saw these TDI Cup Jettas race in real life back in the early 2010s. It wasn't uncommon to see them bicycling around on two wheels because the car would bounce up and the wheels wouldn't come down. It was kind of like watching some
a little wide.
Yeah, a little wide there for Wan Qilin, but kind of like watching a sideshow, I guess. and maybe some of that had to do with the 17 and 18-year-olds that were racing them. I don't know.
That is quite possible. You saw how Snow got the run down the front straight, and just didn't have enough on the entry in turn 1 to complete the pass. I guess you can carry a lot more speed, kind of running that outside line through turn 1, especially if you take it even further wide and put two wheels in the desert,
in the dirt there.
Yeah.
That's
so was able to keep that position for the time being.
And you see the little bump there right at the apex as they start to make that run down the hill.
And just kind of hanging in the back there. Yeah. Spolman is who I was trying to get. Yep.
And Spolman moves all the way out to driver's left. He's going to try and bring the car right back down to the apex. And, it appears to be a good way to get those cars to rotate. Whereas if you try to stay tight to the curbing there, you just get a little bit of push on the exit. And we can see there how it affected Michael Snow, and then henceforth Spolman as they fell back from Wan Qilin coming out of there onto the front straight.
Yeah, I noticed it from watching the racing here that turn 9, it does have some good camber, and we saw the little bump on the little dip on the inside, but it's got good camber for about half of the track width. And it seems like the further out you are on the exit of the corner, the more difficulty you have of keeping it on the track.
Yeah,
it's just like the track's to flatten out.
Yeah. And a little bit longer braking moment there for Snow than Wan Qilin as they came through 5 and through what is known as Monroe Ridge over at turn 6 down the hill. Let's see how he handles it. With Wan Qilin moving to the inside pretty early, turns in early there, but we're going to jump back over to this battle for the lead in the GR86s in the Toyotas, where Miles Crabb has been doing a yeoman's job of holding off Giancarlo Schooler for the last couple of laps here, as we now have just a little bit more than 5 minutes, actually closer to 7 minutes remaining in this 25-minute race. And for as much battling as we're seeing Crabb and Schooler do, they've really opened up an advantage over the rest of the field. But then again, look who's running in third right now, Charles. Having started tailing Charlie, Morgan Burkhardt, and he's running anywhere between 1/1500ths and 3/10ths faster than the two racers ahead of him. The question is going to be, what can he do in 5 minutes time?
Wow. I'm just watching Morgan here, and you can tell how much he likes this track by how aggressive he is. He's basically riding the curbs through those corners, and keeping the wheel basically sitting on top of the curb, not going over, and is just running obviously some fantastic lap times. He's got the gap down to 4.5 seconds to P2. I'm sorry, 4.5 seconds to P1. And when he started, he was 12 to 15 seconds behind the field. So obviously he does love the track, as he said earlier in his lap.
All right, there you go. Giancarlo Schooler comes underneath Miles Crabb going into turn one, and there is Burkhardt in the 40 machine now, only about a little less than 4 seconds a lap back, and still it's a lot of track to make up in what will likely be at a minute and a half, probably maybe three more laps or so. Oh, Schooler getting very loose coming out of turn number 3, heading up the hill.
Absolutely, yeah. He caught that inside curb, and it just didn't settle right for him after he came off of it. It's as we see a little braking there by Schooler with Crabb trailing him, and you can see trying to ride the curbs. Also, kind of got over this edge of it, but no significant harm to him. All 4 wheels stayed firmly on the earth. But I think that these little battle that we got going up here is probably actually helping Morgan to kind of close that gap down.
Yeah, and the gap now is about 3.5 seconds. So he knocked a full second off on that last lap. And what is Crabb going to do? And there's Burkhardt taking the Beans Forster line there out towards the pit entrance.
Yeah. Yeah, he used all the track and then some of the desert, and
somehow didn't end up in San Diego.
and somehow didn't end up in San Diego or on pit lane. So so he did a great job there. But yeah, obviously he's got that car on just rolling, and he's using every inch of anything he can find to make up this gap to the cars in front. And these two guys just, Schooler and Crabb just continue the battle. You see them, I think Crabb actually stayed behind that time and maybe just tried to bump draft Schooler just to try and get a little more speed out of both the cars.
Yeah, I think
try to keep that gap ahead.
If they can open up or use anything they can to keep Burkhardt from closing down on him. If Crabb can push Schooler just that little bit, it might help both of their causes.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, anything at this point. They're seeing Burkhardt's car just getting bigger in the mirror every lap, and so they're saying, "We need to do something here." 2.5 minutes left, but 2 laps left in the race, so it's gonna be tough to get up there. But he's obviously got the pace to at least make the attempt.
Hey, wanted to welcome a very special VIP guest. In the chat, we've got Stevie Ray from Ray Esports Racing in the chat, and couldn't be with us here tonight. He very commonly races with us, especially in the Spec Racer Fords. He is spending some time with family. He's over with his son Greg Ray and Greg's very beautiful wife, and want to wish them all well here this week. And I think Steve getting some well-deserved time off. From the day job and from the evening job.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, enjoy that time with family. It's always important.
All right, as Giancarlo Schooler leads Miles Crabb now, they come out of turn number 4, past the Budweiser balcony, and start to make the run back down the hill. They still have about a 2-second advantage on Burkhardt, but Burkhardt, as soon as Burkhardt gets very loose going through turn number 5, and he is off. And he's still off.
He's still off.
And now he's back. And what was a 2-second gap is now over 6 seconds. And so I think both Schooler and Crabb can maybe breathe a small sigh of relief here as they come through the final corners and onto the front straight where they should be getting the white flag. 1 lap to go here remaining for our touring car racers at Big Willow.
Yeah,
Giancarlo Schooler, your leader.
Yep, so we're going to see Crabb come into the inside here, get the good run, and see if Schooler's going to try and hang it out, keep his momentum going, as they're still side by side going into turn 2 into the rabbit ear. Still side by side. Crabb makes the pass stick. And so now we'll have one more run as they'll be setting up to get that last lunge out of turn 9 and maybe try and steal something here at the end of this race.
All right, as they come up to turn 4, up to the Budweiser balcony, almost a little tap there. Giancarlo Schooler on the back of Miles Crabb, maybe wanting to loosen him up just a little bit as they hit the apogee there and start to run back down the hill. It looks like they might have some issues with some traffic. They've got Wayne Buttermore directly ahead of them. But I think at the pace that Buttermore is running, this really shouldn't affect this battle for the lead. And regardless, Buttermore, very good awareness. He'd pull over for these racers, but I don't think it's going to be necessary as they come through the final corners now, coming through the sweeper and turn number 9. Going to hit that apex, going to come onto the front straight, and it is Miles Crabb. There goes Buttermore. He gives him a little room, and Schooler going to try and use the dirt to get by Miles Crabb, and it's a drag race as they come down the straight to the finish line and taking the win. Margin of victory, 31 thousandths of a second. Giancarlo Schooler is your winner. Miles Crabb, he'll finish second. Morgan Burkhardt will come in third. If we move over to the Jettas now, taking the win in Touring 4, and the Volkswagen Jettas runs and leads from the green flag to the checker, Henry Morse. Megan Overstreet, your champion this season in Touring 4, she comes home in second. Wanchi Lin will come home in third. Seth Spolman will finish in fourth. Ooh, and Wanchi Lin, he was looking for that opening there. And instead, he got the end of the retaining wall. Wow. As I just love watching all these drivers trying to find a way to get over the mountain. Oh, Evan Troxel checking in, says, hi, Uncle Greg. Hi, nephew Evan. Good to see you. He says, interesting overtake strategy by his friend Giancarlo Schooler.
I mean, that was not the, you would think he would have tried to come to the wide side of the track, but he said, no, I'll stay over here and put 2 wheels in the dirt, and we'll keep it tight, and we'll pick up the win.
That's it. All right, let's do this. We're going to bring in Giancarlo Schooler. Still waiting to see if Miles Crabb shows up. But Charles, if you don't mind, I'm going to turn the interview duties over to you tonight. We're going to bring in Giancarlo Schooler, our winner tonight in Touring 3.
Giancarlo, congratulations. Great win. Good battle with you and Crabb for most of the race there.
And Giancarlo Schooler, as he typically does, have some microphone issues. Tell you what, let's do this. Let's put Giancarlo back in the waiting room, and let's bring in Miles Crabb, and who finished second tonight, and 31 thousandths of a second separating them at the line, and we'll try and get back to Giancarlo a little later.
That sounds good, Miles. That was a very interesting and tight finish there. Congratulations on P2.
Yeah, thank you. I guess I'm happy with it, considering I've never driven this track before tonight. So, kind of took me forever to actually learn it. On the last lap of qualifying, I actually just Hail Married some spring changes, and the car ended up perfect. And I knew if I could just have it down between me and Giancarlo, there'd be a good chance I could win it. And man, Wayne was either going to win me the race or not. And it's just, I got a good draft on him. I'm like, please just send it through this corner. Just send it through the corner. And he tapped the brakes. I'm like, I had to tighten it up, and oh well. And I probably could have done better RPM management on exit 2, but as soon as I looked in the mirror, I was just making sure we didn't crash going across the line because Giancarlo had a head of steam.
Well, okay, so let's talk about the track. So what are your thoughts? It's a very old school track. How did you get along with it?
I figured it out at the end. The Spec Racer 4 that we're about to do is going to be interesting. It exemplifies all the things that the 86 does poorly. No top speed. There's really only one braking. The most I brake on this track is 33%. So there's nowhere to dive it into a corner and make time and try to overtake. We made it work into turn 1, but Giancarlo was also not driving it in deep into 1. We did on that last lap. That was about as deep as you can go into turn 1 on that last lap.
Well, it was great for us to watch. So congratulations on P2, and we'll see you in the Spec Racers here in a few minutes.
Yep, and congrats to Giancarlo on the win.
Absolutely.
All right, everybody, there is Miles Crabb finishing second tonight in the Toyotas, and looking to see, we haven't had anybody check in on the Jetta side, so which sounds unfortunately very close to genocide. But let's do this. Let's take a quick little break. Going to reset, going to thank some of our partners and sponsors, and when we come back, we'll bring you all the action from race number 2 tonight, which are the Spec Racer Fords here at Willow Springs International Raceway, Big Willow, where you are watching the Runoffs here in the Ray Esports Racing League on Apex Racing TV. We'll be right back.
Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.
And welcome back to Big Willow, to Willow Springs International Raceway for the Ray Esports Racing League's Runoffs. I'm Greg Ginsberg along with Charles Boschel, and after that real exciting finish, especially in the Toyotas, now as we were just discussing when we went to break, it's time for Draft Fest number 1 tonight, as we've got the Spec Racer Fords here for 25 minutes.
Yeah, absolutely. This is going to be one of those races where you're going to see, it's pack racing. So it's going to be 2 or 3 cars probably trying to work together, bump drafting each other down the straights. You'll see lots and lots of overtakes probably into turn 1. And then it's just surviving around the track until you get back to the front straight and to do it all again. Yes, it'd be a very fascinating race to watch.
Oh gosh, yes. All right, and so we're very early on, about 5 minutes into this 15-minute qualifying session. Morgan Burkhardt is your provisional pole sitter. He's got a 127.124 in the books. You can see it there on the timing tower on the left-hand side of the screen. About a little bit over 0.3 of a second up on, say it with me, everybody, Beans Forster with Florence Arabian, who is a stalwart in the Ray Esports Weekend Warriors League for for Spec Racer Fords. So he is currently sitting third with Megan Overstreet as well. I think more in a place, even though, again, she was our season 9 champion in those Volkswagen Jettas. I think probably in a place where she feels a lot more comfortable, and that's behind the wheel of a Spec Racer Ford. Trenton Kramer in that the blue 444 machine. You know, remember he was stuck in traffic the last time we checked with him, and not traffic on the not traffic on the Willow Springs Raceway, but traffic on the street. So good to see he's got everything ready to go here in Spec Racer Ford.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Arabian, Overstreet, Lynn, pretty much run every event of the Weekend Warriors, so they're going to be pretty quick in these Spec Racers right off the bat. So I can expect those three, barring any malfunctions, to be up near the front by the end of this race.
All right, well, we will definitely have to watch. And Charles, the gentleman that you just interviewed, Miles Crabb, he was our regular season champion in Spec Racer Ford Gen 3 here this time out. Josh Soto, who I don't believe is with us here this evening, finished the season in second, and Megan Overstreet finished in third. Our last season's champion was, well, see him on the screen right there, Morgan Burkhardt. Now let's take a look at the point standings here after we have completed 6 races in season number 9. Miles Crabb with 99 points, a 19-point advantage in the championship over Josh Soto, who finished in second. And then look at that, Megan Overstreet just pulling out third by 1 point over Josh Justice. Justice, a Spec Racer Ford racer in real life. Morgan Burkhardt, another 2 points back from there. And again, Burkhardt with only ran, I believe, 5 of the 6 races, as he spent one of them up here in the announce booth. Skip Brock Jr., a Spec Miata racer in real life. They're just out of the top 5 in 6th. And again, Beans Forster, who was our season 7 champion in Spec Racer Fords, finished, I think for him, probably a disappointing 7th.
Yeah, you know, it's a whole, you know, you have to run well every race for the season to get a chance to compete for that championship. As we saw, the points were really tight all the way down through the field. So every race was going to matter, and it just, you know, you miss one, you know, you're kind of shooting yourself in the foot. But I understand why Burkhardt came up here, because it's fun to call these races. I enjoy this.
It is. I have fun, and I know Morgan. I'll tell you, in real life, I can tell you Morgan is having fun with it because, I'm going to be announcing some races with my announcing partner, Brian Donati, who's called the Ray Esports Racing League before. We're going to be at the Real Life Summit Point Raceway this weekend, and it is not uncommon for Mr. Burkhardt to pop up into the announce booth and be a third voice helping us out. And at the tender age of 17, I think he's pretty darn good at it. So you know, we'll see if this whole racing thing doesn't work out for him. And right now it is.
I'm gonna say, sounds like he's got the racing part under control for now.
Yes.
So that may be a passion for later in life.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So yeah, I'm not pressing him to spend more time in the announce booth than he has to, but the kid is multifaceted without a doubt. All right, we're watching right now. Watching Megan Overstreet. She has Beans Forster directly behind. Forster is currently second in qualifying here, and Overstreet trying to maybe leapfrog both Florence Arabian and Forster, but she calls off that flying lap there. But still about 5 minutes, a little bit less than 5 minutes remaining here in qualifying, so there is definitely time for her maybe to throw some new tires on the car and run another lap or so, as Beans Forster just throws down a 127.48, and he's a good 300ths, actually 2900ths of a second up on Florence Arabian now here in qualifying after he threw that lap down.
Yeah, I think he got a little bit of a toe behind Overstreet coming out of turn 9. May have helped him a little bit. Notice he kind of backed off and he let somebody else lead, maybe trying to line himself up for another lap before this is all said and done. I will say this: just watching these cars out on track, we saw the 86 jumping around a little bit on these curbs. This car will not handle these curves.
No, not at all.
Anywhere close to what the 86 and the Jettas would be. So
yeah, very stiffly sprung.
Yeah, they're going to be very, very careful.
Very stiffly sprung, and I think also the challenge is, if you even let out of the throttle just a little bit, because you don't expect the car to be going 2 wheels in the air, the rear end is going to try and swap positions on you here, and definitely something these drivers are going to have to contend with. And we'll see here as we're watching Wan Chi Lin. He is currently 7th fastest in qualifying. Not exactly where I would expect him to be. Another longtime stalwart in the Weekend Warriors Spec Racer Ford League as he comes down this long straightaway. Let's see if he can improve upon his previous time of a 127.79. And as he crosses the stripe, do we have a new and better lap time for Wan Chi Lin? No.
I think that was his
he's not going to improve.
I think he had actually came to the pit, so I think that was his out lap. So this will be his first flyer.
Ah, okay.
Or his next flyer, I should say.
All right, well, let's watch him here as we've got Giancarlo Schooler, Charles Vaccaro, Wayne Buttermore all in the pits. And we'll have to see. He's sitting in the session, but I think he's actually our live steward for tonight is Andrew Benna, who in the early seasons of the Ray Esports Racing League would race in Spec Racer Ford and do quite well. But he's been on the admin side of this league for the last couple seasons. All right, so let's watch now as Wan Chi Lin starts to make the run down the hill, comes down through Wing's leg, and now into the sweeper. And the one thing I've noticed here, Charles, is that he enters turn 8, the sweeper, much tighter than most of the other racers that I've noticed. He lets the car carry out, and then he's able to bring it back down to the apex over at turn 9. I think a little bit better than some of the other drivers who just kind of do a rim shot and go around the outside.
Yeah, I think that's in NASCAR terms, they'd call that diamond in a corner. If you have a double apex corner, you basically treat it like one large one, and you're apexing on the outside of the middle of those two corners and trying to cut the apexes on the inside as tight as you can. Kind of looks like that's what he was attempting to do there.
And Burkhardt is still circulating in the number 40 machine. He's got a fast lap time of a 127.12. He still has about a 1/1700th of a second advantage over Wan Chi Lin, who now moves up as he completed that last lap, now moves up to 2nd fastest overall, and on the outside of the front row, at least provisionally, as we've got 20 seconds remaining here in qualifying. Let's see what Florence Arabian does as he comes across the stripe. We saw it for a while. He was 2nd fastest overall. He's currently 4th fastest.
Yeah, I almost feel like he's going to improve, but that was a good lap, obviously, by Lin. So that obviously he really, whether the line was necessarily faster or not, he actually felt comfortable to him. So so that helped him out.
All right, so Arabian now with the clock has expired. The checkered flag is out. Arabian, if he doesn't have an off track, he should be able to complete this lap. And so we'll just follow him around as I believe he is both he and Beans Forster are still out on track. Forster, though, just completed his last flying lap, and Forster now 3rd fastest overall. Didn't improve upon his previous best lap time. And Florence Arabian is only about 1/1400ths of a second or so back from Forster. So let's see. On Overstreet going for a very wild ride out there. As Arabian comes through the final corners, can he improve upon a 127.52? He needs to beat a 127.48 as he comes down and to the line and taking the checkered flag, and Florence Arabian does it. He puts in a 127.14. That's going to move him up to the front row.
Great lap by Arabian there. Yeah, just 16 milliseconds off of pole.
Wow. That was a spectacular final lap as the checkered flag flew. And I believe all of our drivers have completed their final laps. So we'll have racers gridding up here in just a moment. But that was very dramatic to turn that in on the final lap.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a great lap, and obviously, like I said, I think Spec Racers were also here early in the season, so the for the weekend warriors. So I think those drivers may have at least a little more track knowledge coming out here tonight, and more laps logged. So maybe give them a little bit of an advantage.
All right, and it looks like iRacing has finally ended the qualifying session, and our drivers are now free to head to the grid. Let's run down the starting order. Your pole sitter with a qualifying time of 127.124. Representing the Parallels Racing Group, it is Morgan Burkhardt. Florence Arabian will start next to him on the outside of row number 1, with Wanchi Lin and Beans Forster making up row number 2. And you can see they're not all that far off the pole for either Lin or Forster. Giancarlo Schooler will start in 5th, with Megan Overstreet starting 6th. Miles Crabb, who is our regular season champion, he's going to start all the way back on the 4th row, going to be starting on the inside in 7th position. Then Josh Justice will start 8th. Charles Vaccaro will start 9th alongside Trenton Kramer. And then we've got Wayne Buttermore rounding out the 11-car field. And we are just waiting for the pole sitter, Morgan Burkhardt. The question is, Charles, are we going to have Burkhardt start from the pit lane again? And I think that may be the case. We'll see. We'll see here if he makes the grid or not.
That'll be interesting to get the pole and say, you know what? I'll just start from in here. Let you guys get a head start. I'll see if I can make up some spots.
Look, I kind of commend him as he's trying to introduce new challenges for himself, and we'll see how this plays out. But the pace car should start going well, and there he is. That ends my theoretical game, as well as Morgan Burkhardt appears on the front row, and the pace car should roll off here in just a moment. I guess it's actually waiting for Andrew Benna. And realizing that Andrew is not going to be starting this race, the pace car is underway. And as it is, let's, Charles, quickly talk about our sponsor for tonight's second race of the evening, and that is, appropriately enough, Spec Racer Sports. And their mission is to help fuel and support your addiction to road racing. And Spec Racer Sports delivers by providing the parts and services you need when you need them at a fair, competitive price, and all with exceptional customer support. Located trackside at Motorsports Ranch, Houston, Spec Racer Sports offers exceptionally prepared Spec Racer Fords for rental as well as for sale, and they also offer storage, support, driver coaching, and technical services such as chassis dyno work and fabrication. To find out more about Spec Racer Sports and their services, visit them at www.specracersports.com. All right. And we've got the safety car, or the pace car, now bringing the field out of turn 2 and to that turn 3, where they're going to head up the hill to the Budweiser porch. And there it is. Look at the size of that thing.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. I bet that's a nice view of a great,
it's a great view.
Yeah.
Am I allowed to call it a dump? But it's a great view. We were joking because Button Willow is 70-something years old, and it's it's your quintessential club track, like a Summit Point, like a Hallett Motor Racing Circuit, like a Nelson Ledges, and it shows every last bit of it. But it is still, it is a treasure to road racing and drifting and, well, pretty much everything else. Be careful, drivers on closed courses, you name it, commercials, yada yada. All right, pace car bringing the field now down and around. And already the field looking pretty well formed up.
Yeah, they're ready to go. They're chopped at the bit to get this race going.
And I think I don't know, it looks like the pace car is going about 20 miles an hour more slowly than it did for the touring car race. But, this is what happens also when you have a 2.5 mile track and the number of cars that we have. And haven't seen one of them try to drive through the pace car yet, or bump draft the pace car, which is a good thing. All right, as the pace car now brings them onto the front straight, it's going to peel off the driver's left and turn the field over to Morgan Burkhardt. And there we go. Pace car now. First it jukes to the left, decides it doesn't want to go to the pit lane right away. Then it does. Morgan Burkhardt now has the field. Florence Arabian in that purple number 2 machine directly to his right as they get ready for the green flag. And there it is, a very late green, but we are underway once again here from Big Willow as they make the run down to turn 1. And Burkhardt, Charles, he got a pretty good jump. He got a three-quarter of a car length advantage over Arabian, and he's going to push Arabian all the way to the outside as they come out of 1 and go into 2.
Yeah, he got a good start, and the outside line was trying to help Arabian around. They were already bump drafting about 2/3 of the way down the front straight, trying to get him going, so they can be going to get several cars off.
Yeah, that's Josh Justice in the blue. I think we also had, I believe that was Wanchi Lin who had gone off as well. As they came out of turn 2 and made the run up to turn 3 as he falls back. But for the moment, Morgan Burkhardt is your leader with Arabian. Beans Forster in the multicolored car. Forster has a problem, and a number of drivers get around him. We've got Giancarlo Schooler in the 111 car. We've got Megan Overstreet as well getting around Beans Forster. So drop the 231 machine now down into 5th position. He's got to try and now hold off Wanchi Lin in the 30, who had, we saw him just a few moments ago, going and playing in the dirt.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Arabian got crossed up there going into the ridge and maybe caused a little bit of a checkup behind him. Maybe that's how Schooler got, and Forster maybe dropped just a bit off there. But as you can see, there's a 0.6 of a second lead coming out of turn 9. It was a 1/10.5 by the time we got into turn 1. That's the power of the draft here with these cars.
All right, and so Beans Forster gets back around Megan Overstreet going into turn 1, and then Wanchi Lin makes the pass, gets it done coming through turn 2. So the 2 positions that Megan Overstreet had gained back by turn 4, they are now gone. And she finds herself back in 6th position as our leader's heading up the hill. And we've got a car. Let's see, there is Wayne Buttermore, who's had an issue. Charles Vaccaro goes off coming out of turn 3 and heading up towards the balcony.
Yeah, I think he caught the curb and just lost the rear, looped it around. Looked like he may have hit something, maybe the inside curb there, that kind of damaged his sheet metal a bit. Or fiberglass, or whatever these things are made of, or bites, whatever these things are made out of.
Here in iRacing, the fiberglass looks like sheet metal and bends up like sheet metal also, and doesn't crack and break in half. So who knows? All right, going out wide, Florence Arabian and Beans Forster follows them out to the dirt. That is going to give Giancarlo Schooler a great run coming down into turn number 1. Forster is going to choose to push Schooler and to hopefully leave Arabian out to dry, but it's also given Burkhardt a bit of an advantage, which he loses going through the dirt on the exit of turn 1. Arabian now moves back up into 2nd position. Schooler's going to shuffle into 3rd, and then Beans Forster, Megan Overstreet. Wanchi Lin now falls back in the 6th position, but I think probably the most interesting thing here, Charles, is looking at this battle for 3rd, because it's 4 and actually if we add in Miles Crab, it's 5 cars all looking for that last step on the podium right now.
Oh yeah, and this is a battle that will last Like I said, barring mistakes, it's a battle that will last most of the race. As you can see, once these cars get lined up, the gaps that are out there close up very, very quickly. And I was wondering if Burkhardt maybe watching what was going on in his mirrors, maybe why he missed the exit of turn 1 a little bit there.
Well, if he didn't start from the pack, all the action is directly behind him.
Exactly.
So he's driving his mirrors, and not for any real reason. And Forster goes wide once again, coming out of the final corner. But Charles, it really even when you get the car sideways through the dirt there, as long as you can get it straightened out, it doesn't look like you lose any momentum when you rejoin.
No, it's that's like you said, as long as you keep the car straight, you're losing a little bit of speed. Obviously, there's some traction differences in the dirt, but not enough that you can just pop right back in line, get back in that draft, and continue on. We still have 6 cars that are separated by a second and a half on track.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I was saying this is great, and and you look at the group of cars here again. Miles Crabb, he's about 2.5 car lengths back on what he admits is a track that he had not raced before. Oh, Trenton Kramer going for Mr. Toad's Wild Ride. I guess we're close enough to Disneyland that we can call it Mr. Toad's Wild Ride.
There you go.
As he's still looking to find his way back out, of course. But Crabb, he's not out of it at this point. It's just, I think, as he said, he kind of figured out a good setup that worked for the Toyota on, I think, the very last lap of qualifying, and he just apparently wasn't able to come up with as good a setup for the Spec Racer Ford. But now Arabian moving down to the inside on Morgan Burkhardt as they go into turn number 1. Arabian has the position, and we saw there for the briefest of moments, Giancarlo Schooler was looking to maybe try and push Burkhardt back around Arabian. Couldn't get it done.
But now Burkhardt's got the inside line coming through this set of corners, and looks like he's not quite enough, only about a half a car length lead. So they're basically dead even coming into 3 and 4, coming up to the balcony. Oh, there's going to be a problem. Arabian jumping the curb. Be very careful, as we said earlier.
And remember, Arabian and not coming up here to turn 4, but coming out of the final corner, it was Arabian who caught the inside of the curb in the GR86s and took out Beans Forster.
Exactly right.
This time, with all of these Spec Racer Fords so closely matched and so bunched up, that could have ended up a heck of a lot worse. As Ford's Arabian now going to challenge Burkhardt once again as they go into turn 8, go into the sweeper, and let's see as Burkhardt tries to open the corner up. Is he going to try and come underneath Arabian? He does, but cannot get the nose up there, and I think he's just going to follow Arabian around for at least another half lap.
Yeah, we're going to see. We'll see what happens. They get down here to turn 1. You just kind of feel like there's so much draft there. As you can see, he's already pulled out most of a car length and makes the pass in the last quarter of that straightaway. You just carry so much speed. So we see Schooler back here battling with Beans Forster. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
sorry.
with Wanchi Lin.
Yang Lin. That's right. And Overstreet now.
Yeah, and and Schooler and Lin were there were side by side, right behind Arabian and Burkhardt, and I don't know if there was a little bit of contact there as they came into one, but we saw Schooler just drop considerably off those two, and Forster. I'm honestly amazed that as many times as Forster has put the car off, he's gone through the dirt. That he's still sitting in third, but he never seems to lose the momentum, and seems to still keep up a fairly common pace to both Arabian and Burkhardt. As we now have Wanchi Lin coming underneath Giancarlo Schooler, as does Megan Overstreet, and so Schooler may have some issues with that car as he now finds himself back in 6th position. He's been shuffled back 4 spots in just the last 3/4 of a lap.
Yeah, it looks like he's got some left front damage. I see the tire exposed a little more on his car than the others. So maybe there was some contact in there in the battle. So we're hearing this with Forster. So, yeah, so obviously he's got a little aero damage that's probably slowing him down quite a bit. So he's not able to just kind of hang in there and battle in this big draft pack.
And now things starting to stretch out just a little bit behind Morgan Burkhardt and Foreign Sarabian. We've got Beans Forster. He's in a nice little pocket right now here. He's got about 2, maybe 3 car lengths back to Wan Chi Lin. And Lin, for the moment, seems to be much more preoccupied with Megan Overstreet in that purple 044. We'll see if they decide to work together to get up to Forster. But Forster, once again, going into the dirt, coming out of turn number 4, catching the inside of the curb. And again, he's going to lose a ton of momentum. And Wan Chi Lin now takes over 3rd position.
Yeah, you can run the dirt and kind of maintain the momentum, but when you start jumping those curbs like that, it becomes almost impossible to try and keep your speed up. And so he kind of lost that position just because he caught the curb as he took it a little too wide. But it's been working for him most everywhere else on the track so far.
And with that Arabian draft right past Morgan Burkhardt, gets past him on the outside under braking. So Florence Arabia now takes over the lead, and Burkhardt looking for a way to return the favor here. He's going to have to looks like he's going to have to wait and at least run the car up the hill to turn number 3. And Wan Chi Lin, he's pulling Megan Overstreet as well as Beans Forster along. We may be back to a minimum 4-car battle for the lead here in just a moment. All right, let's take a look. I think this should show us the contact that we had between Beans Forster and Giancarlo Schooler.
Yeah.
And you can see how he just kind of got pushed out there. All right, let's see how this one looks.
To the inside. Yeah, just not a great view, but definitely looks like there was contact. From the right rear and left front.
All right, let's go back to live action now. And we're still trying here about Morgan Burkhardt. He is your leader. Wan Chi Lin had managed to get around Foreign Arabian. And now Arabian takes that spot back over, but it's given a little bit of an advantage now to Morgan Burkhardt. But I said how things were going to close up, and it is now a 5-car fight for the lead as we've got Wan Chi Lin 3rd, Megan Overstreet 4th, and Beans Forster. I was just going to say Forster hasn't gone away, Charles, but now he has.
Yep, and that was another one of those reactions to a car in front. Overstreet jumped the curb on the inside, and then Forster reacted to it and lost the rear of the car. I think probably something you were talking about earlier with the lift-off oversteer that these cars tend to have.
Yeah, you pull out and it's just instinct to not necessarily fear, but to get out of the throttle. And if the car is loaded up one way, it's just going to continue spinning around. And that was in a real interesting place as they were going up the hill, coming out of turn 3. It's one of those places where if you let out of the throttle, you don't necessarily expect the rear end to come around because of how that car is loaded. But unfortunately now that drops Forster down into 7th position, and so it is now a 3-car fight for the lead. Overstreet, who was right there with the lead pack, the Forster was kind of the bridge car for her, and so she's got a couple car length that she's going to have to make up to try and get up to the back of Wan Chi Lin.
Indeed, she just I even heard her come over the radio and say sorry to Beans. She needs to just make up that time. There's a 0.7 of a second gap back to her. She's still in draft range. As long as these cars keep doing what they're doing and they go two and three wide down the front stretch, she should be able to make that time up, especially if you've got one going deep on the inside and one going wide on the outside. That makes life a lot easier.
Yeah, definitely, as they go side by side through turn 5, and it's going to put Morgan Burkhardt back into the lead. And there you go, Overstreet now with a great run on Wan Chi Lin. Can she hold on to third? We'll see if Wan Chi Lin tries to push the car down to the inside. I think he knows better at this point. There's still a lot of time left, Charles, as we're only 14 minutes into this 25-minute race.
Yeah, plenty of time. The cars that are in Crab and Schooler that are back about 2.5 seconds behind, they've still got time if they work together and just stay nose to tail. They can make up some of that ground, especially if these cars keep battling up front.
All right, and Wan Chi Lin taking a quick little look to the inside as Overstreet trying to work with her Weekend Warriors partner there, trying to push Arabian up to the back of Morgan Burkhardt. And I think part of that also is to try and push away from Wan Chi Lin. Also no stranger to the Weekend Warriors League.
Yeah, for
He's
sure.
been racing in the Ray Esports League, I think, since season 2. So he's been with us for quite some time as well.
Yeah, and a very, very good driver. He's all, like I said, he's one of those that you just always, his name will always be called during the race because he's always up front trying to battle for a class win or an overall podium.
All right, so Burkhardt now is eked out a little bit more than a half-second advantage. And Charles, I just saw in that last shot where we had Schooler and Krabs side by side going down through turn 5. If they were gonna catch up to our top 4 drivers, I don't think that's the way to do it. It may have just been a question of Schooler taking the point, trying to ensure that he was the lead car and pull Crab along, because I think he realizes that Crab really doesn't have great pace here tonight. As our leaders now completing lap number 11, coming down into turn 1, and Arabian, he's got position again going into 1. It's going to force Burkhardt to go the long way around. Now, of course, the track does shift back over to a right-hander for turn number 2. And we saw where Wan Chi Lin, he was able to pull up right alongside Burkhardt, but he gives Burkhardt the ability to come back across, open up the corner. And I think Wan Chi Lin thinking, don't get into a fight with Burkhardt or Arabian runs away.
Exactly right. Yeah, you got to play the long game. I know we still got about 8 minutes to go in the race, but you got to wait until the last couple of laps. You just got to be in a position to make moves at the end of the race, and battling amongst yourselves behind the leader is not going to be helpful. As we see we see Burkhardt again with that curb jump on the inside there in turn 4.
Yeah, and that one corner has been a challenge for him tonight. It was a challenge in the Toyotas earlier in our first race. It's been a challenge for him here this evening, as well, as he now falls in the 3rd position behind Wan Chi Lin, and they come out of the final corner and onto the front straight, where they will complete lap number 12, and we will have just about 7 minutes remaining. But now here you go, for the first time tonight, Wan Chi Lin leads the race. He is your leader. Arabian runs wide coming out of 1, and Burkhardt, he just keeps I think he's just looking for the smallest of holes to skip through.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. He's always right there or right around it, and he's waiting for the right time to make the move. As we see him looking on the inside there, at least that did keep him off that curb, so it's probably a good line to be running. As we see Overstreet now in 3rd, Arabian, this is the power of the draft here, as we see all the cars trying to jump that curb that time, coming down to Hunter Ridge. The power of the draft, where you basically went from P1 to P4 in the span of about 2 corners.
And Burkhardt starting to take little looks to the inside, and maybe a little bit of a shove to the 30 car just as they were about to turn in. Not the safest place to give the bump draft, but look at this, Charles. Look at the at least mid corner, the advantage that both Wanchi Lin and Morgan Burkhardt open up on Overstreet. But Overstreet at the after the last apex, she gets a much better run out of the corner and is able to come right up alongside these two.
It's the power of the draft here in these cars. These cars just tow behind each other so well that you need to have at least a 1 second gap to the car behind or the car in front to kind of get that draft broken. And at this point, none of these 4 cars have made a mistake that's been bad enough to drop them from this pack. I did see that Forster has now shown us out in P10, so maybe he's decided that that's the end of his race for tonight, at least in the Spec Racer. As we see a little bit of a half-second gap between Burkhardt and Lin running P1 and 2, and gaps just as we get into turn 8 to the sweeper. And then into turn 9, those gaps just start tightening up, and then everybody lines up for this big run down the front straight. No change of position in the top 4 so far. You see Lin looking to the outside of Burkhardt. Now looking to the end, kind of looked to the inside a little bit, decided that we're just going to stay in line this lap. So status quo is we're coming around in turn 2 into the rabbits here. The gap behind is Arabian's now right at 1 second back from the leader. The gap behind back to Schooler and Crab, P5 and P6 is about 5 seconds.
Yeah,
so
I was just gonna say about 5, and I think Arabian, he's kind of he's sitting right at the tail end of the draft itself. Well, he's what about a second off of our leader, so much closer than that. Not nearly that gap back to Overstreet, only about a half a second. So he's there, and he's made up a little bit of that ground, but I think he's only a curb strike away, Charles, from losing the draft.
Yeah. Or from being back in the lead. You just never know.
Yeah,
it depends on who's striking the curb.
All right, as we've got now, we've got 3 minutes remaining. Just about there. They're going to be coming up to the finish line here. So we should likely have, I think, probably 2 more laps to go here based on my simple math. And nobody usually most people don't let me do simple math. Charles, because I'm that bad at it. But what we believe to be the penultimate lap number 16 of what is likely going to be a 17-lap race. Morgan Burkhardt is currently your leader. Wanchi Lin running in second, Megan Overstreet third, and Florence Arabian running in fourth.
Yeah, I saw Arabian taking a little bit different line, I think, coming into 2 that time. Just a little offline, just seeing what if there was anything.
Burkhardt loses the rear end of the car. He goes around. He gets collected by Wanchi Lin as he goes around right where we saw Beans Forster spin earlier, and that is going to now escalate Megan Overstreet into the lead. She's your new leader, and she's got about a 7-car length advantage now over Florence Arabian. And I think the other question is, Charles, is how much, if any, damage was done to Wanchi Lin's cars. He took a pretty hard impact into Burkhardt's car. Let's see what happened to Morgan.
Yeah, I'm trying to see if he maybe dropped a tire into the dirt there, the rear.
And there it is.
No, but it was the inside curb.
Yeah, left front.
Just kind of jostled the car around, and he couldn't hold on to it. And yeah, as you said, Lin made contact with him with his front end, so we don't know what kind of aero damage he may have. It
But
looks pretty bad, to be
yeah,
honest.
it does.
Yeah.
I think the stripes on the nose might be doing it some favors there, but yeah, you can see the right front there is pretty much out of whack there, and that's right where he took the hit. Actually, the whole nose cone appears to be pushed back considerably. There's quite a bit of damage there. The fact that he's been able to hold on to the back of Arabian is pretty momentous.
I would agree. He's doing a good job. He's actually kind of closed that gap a little bit. But it's going to be very, very difficult for them to track down Overstreet, this being the last lap, I believe.
It indeed it is. This is the white flag lap. Overstreet is your leader. Florence Arabian second. Wanchi Lin, if things were to end right now, and I'm sure he's hoping that things would end right now given the amount of damage he has. He is sitting in third. Miles Crabb now, our regular season champion, he moves up into fourth as he got around Morgan Burkhardt, and Burkhardt running in fifth, Schooler running in sixth.
Yeah, they're just basically at this point, as we see Schooler get by Burkhardt, I think his car is pretty much wasted. So it's just, let's get this back around and we'll reset and try it again.
All right, and coming across the line and taking the win, Megan Overstreet. She started in sixth position. She is the first to take the checkered flag. Florence Arabian works his way back up in the second position after being as far back as fourth. And then Wanchi Lin, he'll round out the top three. Oh, as they go flying through the air with maybe not the greatest of ease. And Miles Crabb finishes just off the podium at fourth. Giancarlo Schooler, Morgan Burkhardt, Josh Justice finishing in seventh. Trenton Kramer and Wayne Buttermore, our 9 finishers. All right, let's take a look here. And let's see if we have Megan is the first to the green room. Not to make her wait, but let's wait a couple seconds and see if Florence Arabian comes in. I know Florence didn't join us last week at Laguna Seca, so let's do this. Why don't we bring in Megan Overstreet, your winner tonight in Spec Racer Ford.
Megan, congratulations! That was kind of thrilling there for those last 2 laps.
Gosh, that was insane. I love this track because it provides these kind of crazy finishes.
Yeah, absolutely. We agree. It was pretty much what we saw, I think, in the Weekend Warriors, where it was basically nose to tail, one big draft pack, which is kind of what we expected. And then the mistakes started happening, and I think you got pretty lucky to miss that last one.
Extremely lucky. I saw Morgan start getting sideways, just barely off the left front of Yangshi's car. So I slowed down and went to the inside, and that turned out to be the right move for me.
Well, congratulations on the win, and look forward to seeing you the next time.
Yep, thank you.
All right, there you go. Megan Overstreet. She was your Touring 4 champion here in the regular season, and she wins in Spec Racer Ford at the Ray Esports Runoffs. All right, we're going to be back in just a few moments. Charles, we've got one more race remaining. It is Spec Miata here from Big Willow, where you're watching the Ray Esports Runoffs on Apex Racing TV. We'll be right back.
Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.
Welcome back, everybody, to Big Willow, to Willow Springs International Raceway and the Ray Esports Racing League's runoffs. I'm Greg Ginsberg, along with Charles Beauchel. And Charles, we've been through 2 epic battles here tonight. We've got one more to go. It's Spec Miata, and we've got drivers. They are out on track right now. They've just taken to the track surface for their 15-minute qualifying session.
Yeah, I think there are going to be some tired drivers at the end of this race tonight.
Yeah. Tired drivers, tired announcers.
Exactly what I'm saying. I'm wore out just from watching this. I can imagine how they're battling, side by side going through here. But yeah, it's this is the Spec Miata. I expect it to be more of the same from what we've seen already tonight. Lots of passing into turn 1 side by side. Lots of people taking it into the dirt. To extend their exits of corners, and we'll see how many curb jumps we get.
Exactly. Well, we may get the curb jumps, but I think of all the cars that we've seen tonight, these are the ones that may be able to deal with it the best, as they are softly sprung, but they are not underdamped, and they will soak up most anything there. Well, there you go. Just as I say that, we see Charles Bailey head into the wall, and he had somebody there that he was joining. I think that I'm not sure who that was, if that was Beans Forster, or I think that might have been Trenton Kramer that was waiting for him to make it a twosome over at the turn 3 tire wall.
Yeah, I think it's just these curbs are so different than what we would normally see in iRacing. So even the cars that you would expect to be able to handle them, not necessarily. Maybe the car may be able to handle it, maybe not the driver so much, right. Because it's just different. I mean, it's basically like coming up to park in a parking space and driving over the curb right there at the beginning, and then trying to back yourself back off of it. That's kind of what it feels like to me.
All right, as we watch Charles Vaccaro, a club racer out of the Northeast, he's currently running 7th fastest overall, and we've only had 7 drivers that have been able to put in a lap. Looks like Bailey, as we saw earlier, had that off track and had his last lap invalidated. Michael Snow is actually on his 5th flying lap. He has not been able to put in a time yet. Here, as he has had off tracks and had his laps invalidated for probably 4 previous times. No lap from Trenton Kramer, none from Josh Justice, and Wayne Buttermore is out on his second attempt at putting in a time. But for the moment, Wan Chi Lin is your provisional pole sitter with a qualifying time of 128.968. 1500ths, almost 1600ths of a second up on Morgan Burkhardt, with Miles Crabb, who when there was only a single flying lap, he was your provisional pole sitter, now sits back in 3rd.
Yeah, as we see, he's just now starting his next flying lap. We've got Schoolwork, Overstreet, and Arabian just on their out laps to set another lap, and it's going to be interesting to watch. My guess is going to be very much the same as what we've seen in the first two races tonight. It's going to be a pretty tightly packed field. There'll be some jostling during qualifying. You'll see some cars jump if they get a good draft from somebody in front. They'll pick up a couple of tenths here and there, and maybe it may come down to the last car out there setting a lap to take pole.
All right, as we watch Morgan Burkhardt now, currently your second fastest driver on track. He's coming through the two final corners and onto the front straight and just kind of kisses the white line there. That should be good. Let's see as he comes to the line whether or not he can improve upon the 129.13 that he had put in previously. And as he crosses the stripe, it runs almost the same time. A 129.13. Wanchi Lin is still your provisional pole sitter, and we see there with Burkhardt going off. That lap is going to be invalidated. All right, so we're just about halfway through this 15-minute qualifying session, Charles. Let's quickly take a look at how our racers fared during the regular season. We had a regular season champion in Spec Miata. That man returns to the top step of the podium after being named your season 7 Spec Miata champion, while Beans Forster is your season 9 Spec Miata champion as well. Morgan Burkhardt, who took the championship last season, he finishes second in the points, 23 points down from Forster, again having to take a drop. Well, not take a drop. Didn't have to take a drop, but he did not run one of the weeks. Again, our regular season 6 races and altogether, and Burkhardt only raced 5. And there you go. He finishes 23 points down. Another 11 points back from there is teammate Giancarlo Schooler. Miles Crabb, another 2 points back from there. And then Andrew Wozencroft making Overstreet. But you can see right in the middle of that pack, you take a look at Overstreet in 6th. She only had a point advantage over Jim Brewster, who is not here this evening. Jim off on vacation. Michael Snow and Josh Justice tied, just a single point behind Brewster, and then only another 7 points back to Charles Vaccaro. So again, really tight racing here in Spec Miata over the course of the regular season. As we watch Wanchi Lin, still your provisional pole sitter. He has not been able to improve upon his previous fast lap of a 128.85. Matter of fact, that last time by, he was almost a half second off of his provisional pole time. As Giancarlo Schooler now jumps into second position. Beans Forster now jumps into third. Schooler running a 128.89, about a half a second, and if we go by the exact number of clicks of the clock, 43 thousandths of a second off of Lynn. Forster just about a tenth off of that, and that pushes Morgan Burkhardt now all the way back to 4th fastest to the outside of row number 2.
Yeah, still till 5 minutes or so to go. Have time to set a couple more flying laps, and I would think that they'll tighten up even more. I don't know if we'll have, it wouldn't surprise me if any of the top 5 jumps Lynn before it's all said and done, but we'll wait and see.
All right, as we watch Justice in the blue and black number 99 machine. Justice, a Spec Racer Ford driver by trade, but he's been doing a good job hustling these Miatas around. He's currently 9th in qualifying. Let's see if he can improve upon the 130.0 that he ran earlier. He does not. He puts in a 130.06, and that is going to keep him keep the number 99 car in 9th position. But as you said, Charles, still a lot of time here. If he can keep the car on track, that's not going to help him speed up, and I think he realizes that. Going for the outhouse, misses the outhouse, doesn't miss turn 2. As looks like he's stuck down in 9th position. here as we watch Megan Overstreet now. She is qualified fifth currently, just behind Burkhardt with a 129.19. Can she improve as she comes to the line? She puts in a 129.76, so she does not improve. Morgan Burkhardt right behind her does improve. He goes to a 129.08, but that is still only going to be good enough for the outside over row number 2. We'll jump over to Trenton Kramer now in the 444 machine, currently sitting in 10th, and only about, he's currently, about 9/10 of a second off of Justice's times.
It's pretty close. The top 8 separated by 8/10 overall. And, then Justice and Kramer a little further back, but still everybody's setting some good pace. And still, like I said, 3 minutes left to go. Should be able to get at least one more good flying lap in if you're already out on the track.
Wow, and Trenton Kramer really tossing the rear end of that Miata around. He's got Burkhardt starting to close down on him a little bit on track, but still a good gap there. I don't think Burkhardt's going to be able to use the draft off of the back of Trenton Kramer. Currently, as we see now coming down into turns 1 and 2, and coming underneath Josh Justice. That is Ford Arabian in the we'll call that purple kind of pink, maybe fuchsia, with I think, green wheels.
My box of crayons only has 8 colors in it, so I'd go with purple.
Yeah. And Arabian right now, who was battling for the lead in Spec Racer Ford just a little while ago, 8th fastest in qualifying with 2 minutes remaining. He is back. He's only about 0.04 of a second off of Vaccaro's times. Vaccaro put in a 129.63. Arabian is currently at a 6.7, so not a huge gap as they come into the final corners.
Saw lots of red on the timing tower there where people were off track, and Overstreet's one of them. She's reset back to the pits, and she's coming back out again. It'll be very, very close.
It is, yeah.
Back around
about
to
a minute and a quarter.
Only
about a minute and a quarter left before the checkered flag flies.
I don't think she's going to make it. I don't think she's going to make it back around if a flying lap's a minute 28 and there's only 1 minute left. I don't think she's going to make it back around to get one more lap in.
All right, Wayne Buttermore has Buttermore's put in a time. Buttermore is on the pit lane right now, currently qualified 13th in this 13-car field. Beans Forster also on the pit lane. Number of drivers still on track, however. We've got Overstreet, who are watching right now in the 044. And again, she's trying to pick up. She only needs to pick up around 0.11 of a second to best Morgan Burkhardt. And move. And if Overstreet can best Burkhardt, she'll move from row number 3 up to the second row. But again, there's that question here, as there's only 3 seconds remaining on the clock, and no, she is not going to get the time to put in another flying lap.
And it's showing Forster in the pits. So I don't know where John Carlos Schooler is on track. If he's on a flying lap.
I believe that he is already clicked out of the session. So I think Schooler is done. Yeah, and Overstreet, let's see, I don't think it counted that last lap, so she is not going to improve. Josh Justice goes off track, as does Charles Bailey. Oh wow! Did you see that spectator almost get hit by the front bumper?
I know, it's crazy.
Oh, I hope Stevie Ray has good insurance. Although I don't know if I'd trust the trust the hospitals in Rosamond, California. Not that I have anything to judge by. All right, so checkered flag is out on the session. We have 2 drivers that are remaining on track. We've got Morgan Burkhardt and Megan Overstreet. I don't think that this flying lap will count for Burkhardt. I think like Overstreet, the checkered flag had come out, but let's take a look and see what our timing and scoring does as he comes onto the front straight, makes the run, the long run down that front straight towards start finish. And no, it did not record his lap time there, so it looks like he and Megan Overstreet are going to stand pat. As we get ready, just one more race here tonight from Willow Springs, but so far the racing here in the virtual world, Charles, about as exciting as I remember the racing in the real world at Willow Springs. It promotes good racing. There not a lot of passing zones. The goal is to stay off the brakes as much as possible, and it kind of makes for some neat racing. You don't have any of those traditional corners where you're outbraking and doing threshold braking to get around your competitor. So, all right, let's take a look at the starting field. Charles, I'm gonna hand it over to you.
All right, on our pole for the Spec Miata race is Yangshi Lin with a time of 1:28.846. 15 thousandths of a second behind is John Carlos Schooler in P2, Forens Arabian in P3 alongside Benjamin Forster, Beans Forster, that's row 2, Morgan Burkhardt and Megan Overstreet on row 3. Miles Crabb and Charlie Baccaro makes up row 4. Trent Kramer in P9, Josh Justice in P10, and Michael Snow and Charles Bailey. And following up and shotgun the field is Wayne Buttermore.
All right, there you go. That is your starting field for tonight. 13 cars deep as we are waiting for Giancarlo Schooler and Morgan Burkhardt to join us there on the grid. You can see the 2 holes open, both on the front row and on row number 3. And Morgan Burkhardt brings his car to the grid. He's ready. We'll see if Giancarlo Schooler comes out, or maybe he's still trying to fix his microphone. There's Giancarlo Schooler. He's ready to go. And by the way, Evan Troxel, I'm not going to use Sour Patch Kids in a sentence, even though I had Sour Patch Kids on the drive home from Summit Point to Charlotte just a few weeks ago. All right, so pace lap is underway, and it looks like only 2 drivers have decided to head out with the pace car. We had a few drivers fall all the way back through the field.
Yeah, I think the outside line kind of got held up there at the start.
Yeah.
Somebody wasn't really paying attention.
Yeah, I think Giancarlo Schooler had the whole outside lane at a standstill there. There they are. Now they're catching back up as the racers are going into turn 2. No harm, no foul. Although I think some drivers might be a little upset with Giancarlo Schooler. All right, let's do this. Let's talk about our final sponsor, or our sponsor for the final race of the evening. And it is, as you can see in the upper top right of your screen, Grassroots Motorsports Magazine. Built for the true sports car enthusiast, Grassroots Motorsports has one mission, and that's to be your personal guide to the sports car world. Whether it's online at grassrootsmotorsports.com, in print or in person, the racers and builders, the car nerds at Grassroots, take you behind the scenes and show you how to make your car better. Along the way, they'll give you a taste of everything this hobby has to offer, from 1,000 horsepower track monsters to cool street cars built in driveways. And they also maintain a collection of staff-built project cars, because hands-on technical articles, they're not typed behind a desk. They're scribbled down in the garage. To not only read, but become part of the story, head on over to grassrootsmotorsports.com.
Seen some nice pace car shenanigans by our
Yes.
front two.
And I'm sure Wanchi Lin just keeps looking to his right and going, oh, where's Schooler? As Schooler now, I think is up almost alongside our pole sitter. But yeah, I think that's got to give everybody behind him a little bit of a complex. Beans Forster, Megan Overstreet, Charles Vaccaro, all stuck behind Giancarlo Schooler and his and his right foot. All right. Pace car bringing the field through the sweeper, turn 8, and then through turn number 9. Look at those 3 little trees. How did those trees grow in all this? All right, pace car is on the pit lane, turning the field over now to Wanchi Lin, who's got the row on driver's left. I'm betting everybody behind Giancarlo Schooler hopes he gets a better start to the race than he did to the pace lap, as the green flag is in the air and we are racing for the final time tonight from Big Willow Springs International Raceway, and it's Spec Miata Racing as Beans Forster moves drivers right. Giancarlo Schooler moves along with them to block as they come through the first corner, and Schooler now cuts right across the nose of our pole sitter Lynn as they go through turn number 2. Florence Arabian in a fight with Morgan Burkhardt there for the 4th spot, and looks like Megan Overstreet and Miles Crabb making a run on Arabian.
Yeah, good start from everybody. Both lines got off about equal, and so yeah, it's just now we're settled in, and we'll see what we got underneath us.
All right, as they make their way down from the highest part of the track up at the Budweiser balcony down to the lowest parts of the track over by the sweeper, that is Charles Vaccaro, who goes for a wild ride, and he's going to manage to get set back up there and get back in line, but he is now a long way back as our leaders are coming through the sweeper and through turn 9 onto the front straight.
Yeah, Beans Forster got a good run through 8 and 9, but he's blinking a little bit. It's always unnerving when you get a car that's kind of blinking out on you, and you're trying to battle close. You never really know where they are.
Wow, great move there by Morgan Burkhardt, getting underneath Beans Forster going into turn 1. And I wonder, that is something I've seen Forster do not only in the Miatas now, but he did it in Spec Racer Ford, and we saw him in the Toyotas as well. As when he makes the run down to turn 1, Charles, not only does he have his right front tire, both of his right tires on the white line, he actually is dragging him all the way into the gravel or into the dirt driver's right. And I wonder if that's impacting his ultimate speed down the front straight. And we certainly saw Burkhardt draft underneath him.
Yeah, very, very possible. I think you want to keep all 4 tires on the gray if you can. I think that's going to be the fastest way around. I saw Justice spin in the background as you were talking about that. He's fallen back down to P12. He's back with Charlie Vaccaro. And they're actually in pretty close proximity now.
Unfortunate for Justice there, that early race off. Wow, look at the wiggle from Wanchi Lin. As we talked about how he tries to, as you mentioned, diamond the last 2 corners off, but he tried to get the Miata down to the inside, and the rear end of the car didn't seem like it wanted to cooperate with what the front of the car was doing.
Yeah, it wasn't complying very much, that's for sure. As we see Forster on the inside, now the outside. I think that was just the curb, and that just kind of screwed that entire lineup through that corner there. So he's dropped back now to P6.
All right, so it is Giancarlo Schooler, then Wanchi Lin, then Morgan Burkhardt, your top 3 and they've got a little bit of a breakaway right now with Florence Arabian and Megan Overstreet, and then Beans Forster and Miles Crabb in their own little group. So we've got the lead group of 3. We then have the group of 4 directly behind, and as Arabian is somewhat left that second group, we'll see if Overstreet and the rest of them are able to draft back up. I was going to say, I wonder what would be the outcome here if if we saw Beans Forster keep that car on the pavement, as he now falls back behind Arabian and also Megan Overstreet here as our lead 3. And let's just make it the lead 7 there, come onto the front straight, although it took the last 3 of that 7s a while to get onto the front straight.
Yeah, they took the wide line coming out of turn 9. And but as we've seen over the course of the night, you can get away with that as long as you're pretty consistent. You keep the car straight. Once you're over that dirt, you can carry most of the speed. I won't say you're carrying all the speed, but you can carry most of the speed. As we see Yangshi Lin taking the lead here.
And although with the way these cars draft, I don't think that car length and a half is a sustainable lead. And matter of fact, it's now gone as they come out of turn 3 and head up the hill towards 4. But at the moment here, again, the top 3 showing much more pace. But I think also because we're seeing Forster, and there is Miles Crabb. They're trying to find a way around Overstreet that they can work back up to that lead pack, and they just haven't been able to figure out a good way to make it work. Although Forster does get around Overstreet coming out of 4.
Yeah, we've seen Arabian has already kind of made the gap up back to the lead pack. It didn't manage to carry anybody with him. I don't know if maybe Forster maybe missed a corner somewhere, got a little squirrely up. And maybe those were the 3 that were offline coming out of 9 last lap, and that just cost them that much time. So as we see these cars up front battling, this is what's going to help bring those cars back up if they can stay on the track.
Yeah, indeed. As we've got Wanshi Lin to driver's left, and he outbrakes and outmaneuvers Morgan Burkhardt going into turn 1. So the brief lead by Burkhardt, now he finds himself in second with Giancarlo Schooler, his teammate, right behind him. And then Florence Arabian, he's certainly within striking distance. He's only about 2 car lengths back from our second and third place runners.
Yeah, for sure. As we see this second pack now with Beans Forster heading it up with Crabb right on his tail, Overstreet hanging in there with him. And we'll just see, it's like I said, it's as long as the front 4 continue to make that 2 wide going into turn 1, that's going to give this group an opportunity to catch back up. But they're going to have to stay in line. They're going to have to run quick laps, but they're going to have to, maybe not take as many chances on the track limits.
Yeah. And again, a lot of time left. We are now only 7 minutes into a 25-minute race. So there is a ton of time, but with that second pack now a little bit less than 3 seconds behind. And you can see once again, and there is that contact or no? Looked, for a moment there, I thought Beans Forster, when he came back from that run through the grass coming out of turn 9, I thought he might have collected Miles Crabb. He does not. And we'll jump back to the battle for the lead. False alarm, everybody. Sorry about that.
It was definitely close.
It was. It was, and he was all. Forster was all crossed up as he came back across. As we've got Schooler and Burkhardt now working together as they come up the hill, come through turn 3 into turn 4, up at the balcony, and head down. But also Arabian, who had been kind of hanging back a little bit from our top 3. I think he's finding himself right in the middle of that fight, whether he meant to or not.
Indeed, yeah, absolutely. He's managed to stay in there because I think they're just continuing to fight,
Yeah.
and they just can't get away from him because they're slowing themselves down. As we see him taking the outside line there through turn 8 to make that pass. That was a good move.
That was a nice move. So that moves Giancarlo Schooler now back into 4th, and he pops the curb, and you can see the difference there between what happens to the Miatas and what happens to a Spec Racer Ford or a Toyota GR86. He popped the curb and just didn't really upset the car.
Absolutely.
A little bit further back from this fight, Crab and Forster now, again, lock nose to tail. That's a fight we've been watching along with Megan Overstreet. So real tight running, but as they are continuing to fight here, Charles, they're not making up any ground on the lead 4.
No, they're not. It's they're just managing to I think they're basically running the same pace as the lead group, as we see Crab taking that curb again on there that's caught so many people out over the course of the races that we've had tonight. And yeah, Overstreet just looks like she's just a little bit off as far as her lines, like she's just not able to carry the same speed or keep the same lines as the guys in front.
Yeah, it looks like, and I can't tell if it's just she's turning in late, but she does not seem to be able to get that nose pointed down to the apex, and she's having to run wide. She's having to run a lot more pavement, and it's just not the fast way around when you've got that terminal push. Here as they come through turn 8 and 9, and Forster this time just dropping a wheel. Yeah, we're gonna look with trepidation and fear now every single time he comes out of that corner.
Absolutely. And I was going to say that this we sit here and talk about they're a little offline stuff. This is the 3rd car they've driven in a race tonight, so it's not always this is probably not her favorite car or of the groups that she's normally running. But you've got all these cars run differently. She went from the Jetta to the Spec Racer Ford, and now she's in the Miata, and they all have different driving characteristics that you have to spend a little bit of time adjusting to.
Right, and at most these drivers have 15 minutes in a qualifying session. In most cases during the regular season, Charles, they get maybe 7 or 8 minutes during qualifying. They aren't, because they're running in the previous class. They don't get a chance to run the practice session. So it really depends on what they do in their free time during the week when they're not racing or doing something else, and if they can devote time to the sim to get practice in, because jumping from something like a Jetta to a Spec Racer Ford to one of the Mazda MX-5s to the Miatas, they're all just so incredibly different.
Yeah, I did see as we were talking about that, Forster gets off the track again coming through Hunter Ridge, and so he's now dropped to the back of that 3-car group. As we see Overstreet and Crab side by side down the front stretch, which obviously will bring Forster right up to the back of them again. And so that group will be back together, and they dropped a little bit of time to the cars in front, so the gap's now about 4.5 seconds from Arabian in 4th to Crab in 5th. And this group up front, it just seems like they're swapping positions every lap, and that's what you would expect in these races. It's been kind of the standard here, is you get the big run down the front stretch and you make the dive into turn 1, because sometimes you want to hold the position, and sometimes it just doesn't matter because we've still got half a race left to go. So we've still got plenty of time for more passing.
Indeed we do. We've got we're just about halfway in this 25-minute race, and on the previous lap where Burkhardt got around Juan Chiolin, he did it coming through turn 3, and he just kind of threw the car in post apex, was able to keep it, was able to get it to stick instead of running wide drivers right, and was able to power up the hill. And I don't think Juan Chiolin is necessarily looking to make the unorthodox move. And I should add that Burkhardt almost took both himself and Wan Chi Lin out in trying to make that move. And I think Lin, for the most part, as I've seen him for the last couple of years now racing in different platforms, he's much more conservative, I'll say, with his racecraft. But that being said, you saw that great little move there as he came right across the nose of Burkhardt.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I've seen Lin drive enough to know, but yeah, he's a pretty conservative driver. He's only going to make the move when he knows he can make it stick. He's not going to take a lot of chances, but it works for him because he always, like I said, usually ends up near the front of the field at the end of the race.
And Wan Chi Lin gets back around Burkhardt as they come through turn 3 and up to the highest part of the track, over by the balcony. They're going to start the run down the hill. Oh gosh, I keep thinking like this is Bathurst or something. as they get up the skyline, they start making the run down the hill, and here we go again. But all right, let's take a look a little bit further back in the pack. Great little fight going on here as we've got Charles Bailey, Trenton Kramer, and Josh Justice. This is the battle for 9th. And Bailey, who started off the race in 12th position, and he finds where he's leapfrogged Michael Snow, Josh Justice, Trenton Kramer. So a great run so far for Charles Bailey there in that black and red machine. All right, let's jump back to the battle for the lead because they come down the front straight and get set up for turn number 1. And Morgan Burkhardt with a tremendous run out of the final corner and onto the front straight. He's now able to hold off Wan Chi Lin and retake the lead. The question is, how much fortitude do they have, and how many more times can they do that tonight, as we still have now 10 minutes remaining?
I would say that gives us, with 10 minutes left, that's about 7 laps, so
7
probably
laps.
7 more times.
Yeah.
At least. Oh, as we see Burke. Oh, no.
Oh.
Everybody
And he gathers it back up, but not before Wan Chi Lin and Florence Arabian, who had been running in 4th before they get by Morgan Burkhardt. Giancarlo Schooler gets by Burkhardt as well. And Miles Crabb on the wrong side of the fence. Oh no, he was on the right side of the fence. Don't hit the little water tower thingy there, and he now gets back underway.
Ooh.
Whoa.
Wasn't expecting that 3-foot drop there.
No,
but
not at all. Not at all. As he dropped down the berm, and you know what? I don't think he did, because he has taken the car back to the pit lane near Charles. I don't think the car expected that 3-foot drop either. As Wan Chi Lin and now Florence Arabian battling for the lead.
They're passing Buttermore, putting him a lap down.
And Buttermore pulls over drivers right to let all 4 of those drivers by.
Listen to a little crosstalk between the drivers there, as we see Forster and Overstreet continuing on. The gap is about still about 5 seconds, so they really haven't made any significant progress back up toward that lead group. That lead group's kind of stretched out a bit, so Lin now, because of the Burkhardt's line that he took through turn 3 and 4, it's kind of split them up a bit.
Yeah, and you can see now they're Schooler and Arabian and Burkhardt all very tight, but Wan Chi Lin now opening up just about a 1.2 second advantage, and he might be getting fairly close to breaking the draft with Giancarlo Schooler. We'll see how this plays. Guarantee you, if Arabian gives even a one look to the inside of Giancarlo Schooler, might as well be lights out as Wan Chi Lin will start to pull away from these 3.
Absolutely, yeah. They need to, for the next couple laps, they need to just stay in line and push each other and try and make that stagger up, because otherwise Lin's is going to check out, and that's going to be race victory, barring any kind of weirdness.
Well, I was going to say, I thought perhaps they were going to stay in line. Morgan Burkhardt had other Designs had other thoughts there. Look to the inside of Florence Arabian, and that's allowed Schooler now. You saw that, Charles, that even just that little move to the inside coming through turn one and going down the hill into turn two, and it's allowed Giancarlo Schooler to open up almost 3 car lengths on Florence Arabian.
That's it. Yeah, you've got to make, if you're going to make a pass, you need to make it and make it stick. Otherwise, if you're going through the corner side by side, you're just losing time to the cars in front. So now they need to just kind of work their way back up to Schooler and then tuck in behind him and see if the 3 cars can work together to get back up to win.
All right, as we have just a little bit more than 5 minutes remaining in this 25-minute sprint race, the last race of the evening, and wanted to thank everybody. If you enjoyed what you saw here tonight, please go ahead and give us a big thumbs up, as Morgan would say, smash or demolish the like button. That's what he normally says. Demolish the like button, and go ahead and subscribe to Apex Racing TV and click on that notification bell, because we've got great virtual racing programming all throughout the week from around the world as Wanchi Lin runs wide coming through turn one, and the advantage that he had built up on Giancarlo Schooler, that he had broken the draft, well, now Schooler is within half a car length of the number 30 machine. Arabian now not that far back, only about another 2 car lengths, and Burkhardt about the same. So our top 4 cars all here, Charles, getting right back together once again.
And just like that, it's a 4-car pack. As we'll see, Arabian, he'll start tightening that up. He took a little sideways there. Burkhardt looking to the left side, driver's left. Now they're side by side. They need to sort this out relatively quickly. They're going to end up dropping further back.
Here we go, Burkhardt and Arabian side by side now as they come into the sweeper to complete lap number 14, and just the smallest of advances. Oh, and there you go, Burkhardt now running wide, coming out of the final corner, coming out of turn number 9, and now it just may not matter any longer. I was going to say, just those tiny little moves that Burkhardt is making that most drivers would tend to fold under. Arabian doesn't give an inch, but the problem is that the more it happens, the further they fall behind Giancarlo Schooler and Wanchi Lin, who are now side by side coming through the exit of turn number 2 through Rabbit's Ear and making the run up to turn number 3.
Still side by side, and just when you think that the 2 cars in front are going to check out, they just decide to go side by side for 3 corners. It just reduces that gap back to P3 and P4, and so they'll be tightening back up. There'll be another 4-car train coming up on this next lap, assuming nobody makes any errors. Ooh, a good run by Lin. Now we're at 2 by 2, front, first and second side by side, third and fourth side by side.
And as much as Burkhardt and Arabian have been fighting, when the cars directly ahead of them go 2 by 2 like that, it puts a giant hole in the wind, a giant hole in the air, and you can see now Burkhardt and Arabian, they're right back there. Even though last lap they both ended up in the dirt coming out of turn 9, it is now 3 cars in a row behind Schooler, and for a moment there, it looked as though they were going to try and leave Wanchi Lin out to dry. Arabian moved right back over to give Wanchi Lin a little bit of a push, as they are once again side by side coming down into turn number 2. We've got Giancarlo Schooler to driver's left. We've got Wanchi Lin to driver's right. It's then Burkhardt and then Arabian falling back into 4th position again. I'm not even going to guess who's in the front, whether it's Schooler or Lin, because they are nose to nose coming through turn 3. Schooler holding steady, but Wanchi Lin very, very loose. They're coming up the hill, the front end of that car all over the place, but he manages to hold the field off as they start to make the run back down the hill.
Wow, that was some really great
It
racing.
was.
And you got Burkhardt jump from fourth to second, Schooler in third, Arabian in fourth. With, I think this is going to be the last lap coming up as we get down back to the start-finish line.
Now let's see, as they're coming into the final corners now, with Wanchi Lin, your leader, and Morgan Burkhardt now up into second place. We've got, let's see, we're going to hit the 24-minute mark. Yeah, this should bring out the white flag as Arabian runs wide once again. They come down the front straight. Let's take a look. What does Barney do? Barney waves the white flag. 1 lap to go here at Big Willow at Willow Springs International Raceway. Florence Arabian, your leader. Morgan Burkhardt running in second. Then his teammate Giancarlo Schooler third. Florence Arabian. Then about 15, I'll call it 20 car lengths back to Megan Overstreet running in fifth. Beans Forster in sixth in that group. And then a pretty big distance back to Charles Vaccaro and Trenton Kramer running seventh and eighth.
It's all to play for here, so it's just going to be as I just about to say, don't make a mistake, as Arabian just did, coming through 3 and 4, got offline, jumped the curb, he's off in the dirt. So that's pretty much any chance that he was going to have to get the win out of this is gone. So now it's going to be, well, as a matter of fact, Overstreet's already passed him, and now Beans Forster's hot on his tail, so he may actually be a battle for P5 after it's all said and done, as we're coming down to the last 2 corners of this lap.
And here we go. Both drivers drifting wide. Contact as Burkhardt gets past Wanchi Lin. Coming through the final corner to turn 9. It's going to be a drag race. Three wide down the front straight. We've got Schooler to the inside. We've got Burkhardt trying to hold off Wanchi Lin and taking the win. Giancarlo Schooler comes out of nowhere. He is your winner. Wanchi Lin will finish in second. Morgan Burkhardt, he will finish in third. Megan Overstreet gets around fourth. Arabian, she will finish fourth tonight in the 044 car. Arabian finishes fifth. Then Beans Forster sixth. And here is a battle between Josh Justice and Trenton Kramer. Vaccaro finished seventh. And in the battle for eighth, Josh Justice runs wide. He gets the car straightened back up. We've been saying it all night. Hasn't lost much ground, but Trenton Kramer, he's going to come home in eighth. Josh Justice will finish in ninth, and Michael Snow will round out the top 10 and your 10 finishers here tonight in Spec Miata. But oh, wow, what a finish. You know, we started off tonight in the touring cars with a drag race down the front straight involving Giancarlo Schooler. We finished the race up with a 3-car wide drag race involving Giancarlo Schooler. And he is your winner, with Lynn finishing second and Burkhardt finishing third. And so I think probably the biggest question of the night, Charles, is when we bring Giancarlo Schooler in, will his microphone work? All right, let's do this. Let's bring in, we haven't talked to him this evening, let's bring in Morgan Burkhardt. He finished third tonight in Spec Miata.
Morgan, that was a fantastic race to watch. I hope you guys were enjoying that battle basically from start to finish as much as we were.
Yeah, it was definitely really fun. Super tight racing from all of us. Little disappointed with myself tonight. I made way too many kind of dumb errors, but I had an incident in like turn 3 or 4, whichever the uphill left is going into the top of the course. Just got loose, overcorrected, went off, and then, I mean, really, really well done from Forens, Wanchi, and JC to kind of avoid me, but got clipped a little bit on the right rear, and then it just did not want to turn right the rest of the race. So kind of just tried to do the best with what I could, and I mean, threw everything at the wall in the final corner, and it didn't really stick.
I was going to ask you about that. I noticed that there was a little bump on Lynn there as you were coming out of turn 9 down the front stretch for home. Do you think that maybe slowed both of you guys up and allowed Schooler to kind of nip you there at the end?
for sure. I think had we not made contact in the final corner, it would have been drastically different. But, you know, sometimes that's just how the cookie crumbles. It's such a fast corner. We were both going like as deep as we could. He tried to come back a little early and we made contact, and, you know, that kind of just happens. But I mean, super close across the line, 3,000 between me and Yanchi, and then a 10th to JC. So that's one of the closest finishes I've seen in a while.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a great race, and we appreciate you guys out there putting everything on the line. We've really enjoyed it. So congratulations on your P3. Not what you wanted, but you know, when you can walk out with a podium, you kind of be okay with that.
Yeah, for sure. I'm happy that I got a podium. Happy that I kind of redeemed myself for the first 2 races.
There you go. Congratulations. Thanks, Morgan.
Thank you.
All right, there you go. Morgan Burkhardt, driver of the number 40 Spec Miata, finishing 3rd tonight. And Charles, I don't know if it's you or if it's me, or, well, it's me. But Giancarlo nor Watchulin have checked in for interviews. So let's do this. Let's wrap things up here from Big Willow, from Willow Springs International, where you just seen 3 amazing races as part of the Season 10 Ray Esports Racing League, Season 9 Ray Esports Racing League's runoffs. We're going to be back in a few weeks, starting up early September with season number 10 of the Ray Esports Racing League. I can't believe we're already 10 seasons into this, as I've been around since day one. We're going to have more great tracks and hopefully more great racers here racing with us. And so want to thank, of course, Stevie Ray, the Ray in Ray Esports Racing, Greg Hubler, one of our administrators. I want to thank also Andrew Benna, who's been behind the scenes, one of our stewards this season, and has been doing a yeoman's job as well. I want to thank all the wonderful racers this season, our regular season champions in Touring 3, Beans Forster, and Touring 4, Megan Overstreet, Miles Crabb, and Spec Racer Ford, and Beans Forster once again in the MX-5s, and looking forward to the next season. So Charles, thank you so much for joining us, and of course want to thank Lee Thompson as well for pushing all the buttons in the background and giving us all those great views that Apex Racing TV is known for. Again, if you like what you see, if you like what you've seen, please give us a thumbs up and go ahead and subscribe to Apex Racing TV. You will not be disappointed with all the great virtual racing programming that they provide. So until September, I'm Greg Ginsberg. He's Charlie Boschel, and we will see you in just a few weeks with Season 10. Have a great one, everybody.